Have you ever stopped to think about the primal forces that shaped the universe? What if I told you that these forces are not just abstract concepts, but living entities with their own stories and conflicts? Welcome to the world of the Jotnar, the ice and fire giants of Norse mythology, where order and chaos dance in an eternal cosmic battle. The duality of the Jotnar is fascinating. On one side, the ice giants of Jotunheim, creatures emerging from icy and inhospitable landscapes, representing the relentless cold and brute strength of nature. On the other, the fire giants of Muspelheim, led by the fearsome Surtur, whose flaming sword is destined to bring about Ragnarok, the Norse apocalypse. These entities are not merely antagonists of the gods, but essential parts of the cosmic fabric, playing crucial roles in the creation and destruction of the world. Prepare for an epic journey as we explore the origins, conflicts, and transformations of these titanic beings. You'll discover how they not only challenge the gods, but are also revered and feared. Their stories are woven with magic, cunning, and power, showing that even the most destructive forces have a vital role in the eternal renewal of the cosmos. In this video, we will dive deep into Norse mythology, revealing ancient secrets and uncovering the true nature of the Jotnar. If you think you already know the story of the gods and giants, prepare to be surprised. There's much more behind these colossal figures than you can imagine. Stay with us and discover how ice and fire have shaped the destiny of the universe. The Jotnar aren't just giants. In fact, the term Jotnar comes from Old Norse and means to consume or to devour. They are complex and fascinating entities within Norse mythology, often described as forces of nature with immense power. Imagine living in a land where gigantic creatures could transform their environment with just a swing of their arms. That's exactly the kind of raw, primordial power the Jotnar represent. Contrary to what many might think, the Jotnar aren't simply monstrous creatures. They have a profound connection with nature and magic, making them crucial characters in the creation and maintenance of the cosmos. For instance, Ymir, the first Jotnar, is literally the ancestor of all creation, including gods and humans. Understanding the Jotnar is essential for delving into the mysteries of the Norse universe. Often, the image of the Jotnar as mere giants comes from superficial comparisons with other mythologies, like the Greek. However, upon closer inspection, we can see that these creatures are much more than that. They symbolize the primordial chaos that preceded the order of the gods, and their role goes far beyond simple antagonists. In fact, without them, Norse gods like Odin and Thor might not even exist. It's interesting to note that figures like Thor, the god of thunder, have Jotnar ancestry. This shows us how the boundaries between gods and giants are not as rigid as they seem. This intertwining of lineages highlights the complexity of the relationships and conflicts that form the foundation of Norse mythology. Thus, the Jotnar are both enemies and ancestors of the gods. The conflicts between the gods and the Jotnar, which we will explore further, are full of nuances and reveal much about the nature of power and balance in the Norse cosmos. But before we dive into that, it's important to understand how the Jotnar, from the very beginning, were destined to play a crucial role in the eternal dance between order and chaos. The Jotnar are often associated with the image of giants, but this simplified view is actually a distortion influenced by other cultures. In Greek mythology, for example, giants were monstrous beings who challenged the Olympian gods, and this image ended up being overlaid onto the Jotnar. However, the Jotnar possess a depth and complexity that goes beyond the simple idea of large, brutish beings. The origin of the Jotnar is closely tied to the beginning of everything when chaos reigns supreme. Ymir, the first being, was born from the meeting of the ice of Niflheim and the fire of Muspelheim, symbolizing the union of opposites to create something new. Ymir was not only large in size but also in importance, as many other beings, including the gods themselves, came from him. This deep connection with the primordial elements of creation reflects the role of the Jotnar as essential and inevitable forces of nature. The idea that the Jotnar are merely giants comes from a limited interpretation. In reality, They are personifications of natural and chaotic aspects of the world. Some are giants of ice, others of fire, and their characteristics reflect this diversity. Loki, for example, one of the most famous Jotnar, is a figure of change and mischief, showing that not all Jotnar are brutal figures. Some are clever and cunning. These misconceptions are also the result of translations and interpretations over the centuries. The term Jotnar itself was simplified to giants, ignoring its original connotations of devourers or consumers. This simplification contributed to the stereotypical view we have today. To truly understand the Jotnar, it is necessary to go beyond these simplistic ideas and explore their true nature and significance within Norse mythology. Therefore, when approaching Norse mythology, it is crucial to dispel these misconceptions and recognize the Jotnar in all their complexity. They are not just enemies of the gods, but also their counterparts and, in many cases, their relatives. This interconnection between gods and Jotnar creates a rich and multifaceted narrative that challenges common perceptions and invites us to look more deeply into the role of chaos and order in the universe. At the dawn of time, when the universe was just beginning to take shape, Ymir, the first Jotnar, emerged from the meeting of the ice of Nibelheim and the fire of Muspelheim. Ymir was not just a colossal creature, but the ancestor of all beings in Norse mythology. His importance is so great that he is considered the starting point for everything that came to exist, a primordial figure connecting the initial chaos to the ordered creation. Ymir is a central figure because from his body came the elements that formed the world. When Odin and his brothers, Vili and Ve, killed Ymir, his body was used to create the earth. His blood became the oceans, his flesh the land, his bones the mountains, and his skull the sky. This narrative highlights how the Jotnar, especially Ymir, are fundamental to the structure of the cosmos. Without Ymir, the world as the Norse knew it simply would not exist. The significance of Ymir goes beyond his death and transformation. He symbolizes the intrinsic connection between creation and destruction. Through Ymir's sacrifice, order was brought to chaos, allowing the gods to shape the universe from his body. This act of creation through destruction is a recurring theme in Norse mythology, showing that destruction is not just an end but a means to new beginnings. Ymir's descendants, the other Jotnar, continue to influence the world in various ways. They represent the untamed natural forces that coexist with the order imposed by the gods. For example, the fire giant Surtur, who plays a crucial role in Ragnarok, symbolizes the destructive power of fire that will eventually lead to the rebirth of the world. This duality between creation and destruction, order and chaos, is a fundamental characteristic of Norse mythology. Therefore, understanding Ymir and the early Jotnar is essential to grasping the Norse worldview. They are not merely antagonists of the gods, but integral parts of the eternal cycle of destruction and renewal that defines the universe. This perspective allows us to appreciate the depth and complexity of Norse myths, seeing beyond the simple battles between gods and giants to perceive the rich tapestry of forces shaping the cosmos. One of the most interesting facets of Norse mythology is the shared lineage between gods and giants. Odin, the chief god of the Norse pantheon, and his son Thor, the god of thunder, have Jotnar ancestry. Thor, for example, is three-quarters Jotnar, highlighting the complexity and interconnection between these beings. This blend of lineages reflects the intricate and intertwined nature of the Norse universe, where the boundaries between order and chaos, divinity and monstrosity, are often blurred. Odin, the All-Father, was born from the union of the god boar and the giantess Bestla. This means that from the very beginning, the Norse gods carry the blood of giants. This mixed heritage may explain the ambiguous and often conflicted relationship between gods and giants. On one hand, the gods seek to impose order over the chaos represented by the giants, but on the other, they cannot fully escape their own chaotic and giant nature. Thor exemplifies this duality in a fascinating way. As the son of Odin and the giantess Jord, the personification of Earth, Thor is a warrior fiercely dedicated to protecting Asgard from the giants. but he is also intrinsically connected to them. His adventures and battles against the Jotnar are legendary, but they always carry a touch of familiarity, as if he is fighting a part of himself. This complex dynamic adds layers of depth to Thor's stories and highlights the interdependence between gods and giants. It's interesting to note that many of the gods' greatest enemies are their own relatives. Loki, Thor's half-brother, is a Jotnar who causes numerous troubles for the gods, culminating in his crucial role in Ragnarok. Loki serves as a constant reminder that the giants are not just external enemies, but essential parts of the very fabric of the cosmos. His ability to shapeshift and create chaos is both a blessing and a curse for the gods. Thus, Norse mythology shows us that the struggle between gods and giants is not simply a battle between good and evil. It is a representation of the opposing and complementary forces that keep the universe in balance. The gods need the giants just as much as the giants need the gods. This symbiotic and conflicting relationship is fundamental to understanding Norse mythology and teaches us about the complexity and beauty of the coexistence of opposites. In the beginning, the gods and the Jotnar coexisted in a fragile balance. They shared the same world, each fulfilling their role in maintaining the cosmos. However, this balance was shattered when Odin and his brothers, Vili and Ve, decided to kill Ymir. This act of primordial violence marked the beginning of a continuous conflict between the gods and the giants, a struggle between order and chaos that would unfold throughout Norse mythology. The killing of Ymir by the gods was not just an act of creation, but also one of betrayal and aggression. The gods used Ymir's body to create the world, but in doing so, they awakened the wrath of the Jotnar. This seminal event planted the seeds of distrust and resentment that shaped all subsequent interactions between these two groups. It's as if the very creation of the universe was tainted by a crime that could never be forgotten or forgiven. The conflicts between gods and Jotnar are depicted in numerous stories, featuring epic battles that symbolize the eternal struggle between order and chaos. Thor, known for his bravery and strength, is often the god's champion in these battles. He faces giants like Hrungnir and Geirrid, using his hammer Mjolnir to maintain order in Asgard and Midgard. These battles are not just physical, but also represent the god's constant internal struggle to maintain control over an inherently chaotic universe. However, not all Jotnar are irreconcilable enemies of the gods. Some, like Skadi, have allied with the gods and even married them. Skadi, a snow giantess, became the wife of Njord, the god of the sea, after an agreement with the gods to avenge her father's death. This alliance shows that despite the widespread conflict, there are moments of cooperation and understanding between these opposing forces. These complex relationships add an additional layer of depth to the narrative, showing that the line between enemy and ally is often thin. Destruction and creation are intrinsically linked in Norse mythology, and the conflict between gods and giants is a manifestation of this duality. Each battle, each temporary truce, each act of betrayal or alliance reveals a different facet of this complex relationship. The conflict between the gods and the Jotnar is ultimately a reflection on the constant struggle to find balance in a world of opposing and equally necessary forces. Jotunheim, the land of the Jotnar, is a place of harsh and icy landscapes, reflecting the untamed and powerful nature of the giants who dwell there. Situated in one of the 9 worlds of Norse mythology, Jotunheim is described as an inhospitable and cold region, surrounded by towering mountains and dense forests. This wild and hostile environment contributes to the image of the Jotnar as frost giants, entities that embody the raw force of nature. The Jotnar are shaped by their environment, and Jotunheim is an extension of their being. The harsh conditions of the land reinforce the idea that the Jotnar are resilient and adaptable beings, capable of surviving and thriving in extreme conditions. This resilience is evident in various stories where the Jotnar demonstrate not only physical strength, but also surprising cunning and intelligence. The landscape of Jotunheim, with its mountains and caves, offers numerous hideouts and natural fortresses that the Jotnar use to their advantage. A notable example of Jotunheim is Utgard, the fortress of the giant Utgard Loki. Utgard is a place of wonders and illusions, where even gods like Thor and Loki face challenges that test their limits. This fortress symbolizes the power of the Jotnar to create and manipulate reality around them, using both strength and magic to protect their domain. The stories set in Utgard show how Jotunheim is a place where nothing is as it seems, and where the power of the Jotnar is a force to be respected. Beyond physical battles, Jotunheim is also a place of encounters and negotiations between gods and giants. Thor frequently travels to Jotunheim to confront giants in combat, but also to seek advice or temporary alliances. These journeys reveal the complexity of the relationships between gods and Jotnar, showing that despite the conflicts, there is a mutual need for interaction and understanding. The gods recognize the importance of Jotunheim and the Jotnar in maintaining the balance of the cosmos. The landscape of Jotunheim serves as a metaphor for the role of the Jotnar in Norse mythology. Just as the terrain is challenging and relentless, the Jotnar represent the uncontrollable forces of nature that the gods must face and respect. Understanding Jotunheim is key to understanding the essence of the Jotnar, a blend of brute strength, cunning intelligence, and a deep connection with the primordial forces of the world. It is in this icy and rugged terrain that many of the most epic stories of Norse mythology unfold. The Jotnar are renowned for their incredible shape-shifting abilities, a trait that adds a level of complexity and unpredictability to their interactions with gods and humans. Loki, one of the most notable Jotnar, is a master of transformation, taking on various forms throughout the stories, from a fish to a mare. This ability to metamorphose symbolizes the mutable and deceptive nature of the Jotnar, highlighting their skill in adapting and surviving in any circumstance. Shape-shifting allows the Jotnar to play varied and unexpected roles in Norse sagas. For example, in a famous story, Loki transforms into a mare to distract the horse of a giant builder, resulting in the birth of Sleipnir, the eight-legged horse. This event not only showcases Loki's cunning, but also the flexibility of the Jotnar in using their shape-shifting ability to achieve their goals, often in surprising and innovative ways. Besides Loki, many other Jotnar possess metamorphic abilities that they use both for protection and to deceive their enemies. Thrym, a giant who steals Thor's hammer, disguises himself as a suitor for the goddess Freya, demanding her hand in marriage in exchange for the hammer. Although his plan is eventually foiled, the ability to disguise himself demonstrates how the Jotnar use transformation as a strategic tool in their interactions with the gods. This shape-shifting ability also contributes to the perception of the Jotnar as chaotic and unpredictable beings. They can appear as allies or enemies, depending on the situation and their own interests. This ambiguity enriches the Norse mythology stories, as one can never truly anticipate what to expect from the Jotnar. Their transformations frequently challenge expectations and subvert traditional narratives of good versus evil. The appearance of the Jotnar can vary dramatically, from grotesque and monstrous forms to beautifully seductive figures. This diversity of appearances reinforces the idea that the Jotnar represent the primal and untamable forces of nature, which can be both wondrous and terrifying. Understanding this duality is essential to appreciating the depth of Norse myths and the way that Jotnar influence the balance of the cosmos. The Jotnar, often seen as chaotic and untamable forces, were both feared and respected in Norse mythology. Representing primordial chaos, they embodied the natural forces that existed before the world was ordered by the gods. The behavior of the Jotnar was unpredictable and frequently hostile, but there were also moments of peaceful interaction and even veneration by humans and gods. The Jotnar were frequently depicted as beings who challenged the established order of the gods, causing destruction and chaos. However, this view is not entirely negative. They were also seen as agents of change and transformation, capable of bringing new beginnings through destruction. The figure of Skadi, the snow giantess, is an interesting example. Although she seeks vengeance against the gods for her father's death, she eventually marries the god Njord, becoming a revered and respected deity. Skadi is a notable case of the worship of the Jotnar. She was revered as a goddess of hunting and winter, showing that not all giants were feared or hated. Her worship symbolizes the acceptance and respect for the harsher and more relentless aspects of nature. Skadi serves as a reminder that the Jotnar, despite their chaotic behavior, play a crucial role in maintaining the world's balance. In addition to Skadi, other Jotnar also received recognition and worship in different contexts. The veneration of natural forces, often personified by giants, was common among the ancient Norse. These rituals and homages reflect a deep understanding of the need for balance between the forces of order and chaos. Worshipping the Jotnar was a way of acknowledging the importance of chaos in the creation and maintenance of the world. The duality of the Jotnar's behavior, being both chaotic and necessary, is a central theme in Norse mythology. They represent the need to accept and respect the uncontrollable forces of nature. Worshipping them was a way to appease these forces, seeking harmony with the wilder and more unpredictable elements of the universe. This worship was not just an expression of fear, but also of reverence and respect for the complexity of life and the cosmos. Ragnarok, the end of the world in Norse mythology, is a cataclysmic event that symbolizes both the destruction and rebirth of the universe. At the heart of this destruction is Surtur, the fire giant, whose presence is an inevitable and destructive force. Wielding his flaming sword, Surtur is destined to lead the giants of Muspelheim in the final battle against the gods, bringing chaos and fire that will consume the world. Surtur is not just an enemy of the gods, but also a symbol of the primordial forces of fire and destruction. Since the beginning of time, he has waited patiently in Muspelheim, the land of fire, preparing for the day he would march against Asgard and Midgard. His sword, as bright as the sun, is a weapon of mass destruction destined to burn the entire universe. Surtur's role in Ragnarok is unavoidable, a prophecy that even the gods cannot escape. During Ragnarok, Surtur plays a crucial role by destroying the Bifrost Bridge, the connection between the worlds. This act of destruction marks the beginning of the end, as the fire giants invade Asgard, and the gods prepare for their final battle. Surtur's flames consume everything in their path, symbolizing the overwhelming power of destruction that precedes renewal. The battle is fierce and relentless, with Surtur facing gods like Freyr in a deadly combat. The final confrontation between Surtur and the gods results in the total destruction of the cosmos. Surtur's flames spread across the world, burning everything until nothing remains but ashes. However, this destruction is not the end, but a new beginning. From the ruins of the old world, a new universe emerges, renewed and purified by fire. This cycle of destruction and rebirth is a central theme in Norse mythology, showing that even in the end, there is hope and new life. Besides his role as a destroyer, Surtur also represents the inexorable march of fate. Ragnarok cannot be avoided. It is an event that has been prophesied and will unfold regardless of the actions of the gods. Surtur, as an agent of this fate, exemplifies the inevitable nature of the cycle of life and death. His figure is a reminder that destruction is a necessary part of creation, and that Surtur's purifying fire paves the way for the new world to come. Thus, Surtur's figure in Ragnarok encapsulates the essence of Norse mythology: the acceptance of fate, the duality of destruction and creation, and the eternal hope for renewal. As the gods and giants face the end of the world, they show us that destruction is just a part of the continuous cycle of existence. And while Surtur's flames burn the old world, they also light the path to a new beginning. Now that you've discovered the incredible duality of the Jotnar, it's time to reflect on what this means for us. The giants of ice and fire are not just characters from ancient stories. They represent the forces of nature and the inevitable cycles of destruction and rebirth. Like the Jotnar, we face our own challenges and transformations throughout life. Are you ready to apply this knowledge? Think about the areas of your life where chaos seems to prevail. Perhaps it's time to embrace these forces, understanding that, just like in Norse mythology, chaos can be a precursor to new opportunities and growth. How about embracing these changes and using the raw strength and resilience of the Jotnar as inspiration to overcome obstacles? If this journey through the world of giants has intrigued you, don't stop here. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to keep exploring the secrets of Norse mythology and other cultures. Each video is a new adventure, a deeper dive into fascinating stories that can teach us a lot about the world and ourselves. See you next time, where more mysteries and legends await to be uncovered.